I'm going to talk to Wayne Channon today about a vaccine for COVID-19. Morning, Wayne. Thanks for talking to us this morning. Can you tell us a little bit of the history of STABILITECH, which is your biotech company?
Yeah, absolutely. STABILITECH has been around since 2005. It was founded by Dr. Jeff Drew. Jeff's a virologist by background. He's been both an academic and now an industrialist. The company's done work for a lot of larger companies. For instance, GSK, we worked with them on one of their vaccines. We've done work for the US Department of Defense. We're currently working with Zoetis, which is the world's largest animal healthcare company, working on a couple of vaccines for them. But we started doing our own vaccines back in 2016. We're an entrepreneurial company, and we knew that our technology could be applied to many different types of vaccine. So the work that we've been doing on thermal stability, we thought we can take this and make something which is transformational for the world of vaccines, and that is oral vaccines, and that's where we're now focused.
Okay, we've got Boris, our Prime Minister, bless him, he's in hospital at the moment. There's not been a lot of talk about vaccines and where we are with the development of vaccines in the UK. Can you shed any light on that?
Yeah, there's two ways that we're going to get out of this problem. We have to develop herd immunity. Now, what that is when you get a certain proportion of the population which is immune to a given virus, then it doesn't spread anymore. And the current thought is that we've got to get to something like 60% of people who've either had it or who've been given a vaccine. So I would say the most critical thing that we have to do in humanity, not just the UK, but the world, is produce an effective vaccine. And that's what we've done. What we've developed is we have developed the world's first thermally stable, orally administered COVID-19 vaccine. It's in this capsule. This is particularly important for two reasons. Because it's orally administered, you just swallow this. What that does is it goes into your stomach, and that's where our intellectual property gives it protection. Nobody else can do this because they can't get it through the stomach without it killing the vaccine. When it goes into your small intestine, your gut, that's when this capsule will be dissolved, and it will give the cells in your gut, these are mucosal cells, it will give them the ability to create immunity. Now, I use the word mucosal immunity. This is really important. When you catch COVID-19, you catch it through your mucosa, either in your nose, your mouth, your throat, and it eventually ends up in the mucosa in your lungs. Not many people are aware of this, but 80% of your immune system cells are mucosal. Only 20% is your systemic immunity. So what we do is we deliver this directly to the mucosa. Now, if we chose to deliver this via an injection, you'd get what's called systemic immunity. That might be the wrong target. It may not be strong enough to get into your mucosa and give you full immunity. So really, the most important thing is to aim for the right target, which is the mucosal immune system, which is what this does. The second part of that, I mentioned thermal stability. Not only does that get it through your gut, through your stomach and into your gut, but also it means this can be sent in the post. When you think about how many people you're going to have to vaccinate in Britain, 67 million people. Even if we only vaccinated the 40% that you need for herd immunity, that's still 40 million people. How can you get 40 million injections done anytime soon? With the best will in the world, it's going to be a logistics nightmare. So what you can imagine happening is football stadia being turned into places where people go for an injection. With this, you don't. You send it in the post. This really is the future of vaccines, not only for COVID-19, but for, I think, almost all vaccines.
Are you meeting any resistance in developing these ideas and putting them forward to institutions?
No, not at all. Yeah. The Medicines Health Regulatory Authority has been absolutely brilliant. The work that we have done, this vaccine for us comes from our work that we did on Zika. The UK government funded a Zika development program for an oral vaccine, which it was our vaccine. And that's been taken all the way from concept back in 2016 to where it is today, ready to go into man. So the regulatory agencies in the UK are using that data in order to prove safety, which will allow us to go very rapidly into man. Because with this little capsule, we expect to be able to be giving this to the first clinical trial subjects in about 7 weeks from now.
That's extraordinary, Wayne. So if we had an ideal situation, and it was an ideal world, which it appears not to be at the moment, when could we have immunisation in the UK?
The first ones will be, as I say, in 7 weeks. That will be a small group of about 50 people, and then it will grow rapidly after that. So within 3 or 4 months, you could have that up to probably 1,000 people. And then one of the beauties of this particular approach of capsules is the speed of manufacturing. Now, everybody knows how you brew beer. Very similar for doing a vaccine. With this one, what you do is you grow the cells in a bioreactor. It's like a vat. And when you get to a certain amount, you then freeze dry it. And freeze drying, you put it into a powder. You grind the powder. And then, I've missed one important step. Before you freeze dry it, we put in our thermal stability excipients. These are 2 sugars, 1 chemical, all considered to be nutraceuticals. They're generally regarded as safe list. When we freeze dry that, it becomes rock solid thermally stable. We then put that into a capsule, and the powder in that capsule is the actual vaccine.
So, in theory, bless poor Boris is in isolation at the moment. For the cost of his letter to the nation, you could deliver that to every household in the country.
The cost of manufacturing is really quite low.
Yeah.
The cost of manufacturing probably will be less than 50 pence per capsule.
Yeah.
You've then got to do the delivery, so it could be that the cost of the mail may be larger than the cost of the capsule.
Wow.
But I think for that many, when you were sending out 60 million of these, or probably in America 330 million, in Europe 400 million, the rest of the world billions.
Yeah.
The cost of this should come down to peanuts, really.
Apart from vaccines and vaccine development, Wayne, are there therapies that we should be thinking about? Or are there therapies and approaches to the disease if we have it?
Oh, there certainly are. The main things that are being tried are repurposing existing drugs. Things like chloroquine phosphate, they are showing a lot of promise. The trials come out from China and from France already. When you're looking at any of these things, though, just don't go out and say, I'm going to buy some chloroquine phosphate. That's an antimalarial drug. What they have to do is prove that they actually work and in whom they work. Because they may work in some people, not in others. You need to know what dosages you give, because the dosages could be considerably different, and you have to prove safety. That's pretty much the same way we have to do this with our vaccines. That vaccine today, what I showed you, this one, there's no reason why I couldn't just pop that capsule now. However, you must prove safety. It's critical. Also, what's the dosing level? Do we give 100 million infectious particles, or do we give 10 billion? These things have got to be worked out so it's precise, because if I'm promising you this is going to work, I have to put the right dosage in there. And it's exactly the same for any of the therapies. But there are a number, and I think we should be quite confident that they will find something that will be quite helpful in the not too distant future.
So, Wayne, how long to immunity?
With this particular approach, an oral vaccine, what we've done in the past from Zika indicates that it will be between 2 to 3 weeks. And that is probably a crucial point, because many of the new 21st century vaccines that are being developed, like the injections or another electrical device called electroporation, they can take several months. And the reason that ours is so quick is because the way the gut works. The gut's a very special environment. The gut cells that you have in your stomach, they're created by little stem cells. If you looked at a cross-section of your intestine, you'll see a very small villi all the way through. And in the very bottom, in the crypt, these stem cells produce cells which creep up the villi, and they last, the half-life is 4 days. So after 10 days, you've got none left. They're just sloughed off. But during those 10 days, what they do is they produce a protein. It's a protein that we inserted in there from COVID-19. And this protein, if you imagine the picture that you see on TV all the time of COVID-19, it's like a ball with little spikes sticking out. Those spikes are called spikes for obvious reason, and the protein that makes that is the spike protein. We've taken the DNA from that and we put it into our capsule. That DNA goes into the cells in your gut, and those cells produce copies of that spike protein, not the whole thing, just that spike protein. And you get millions of copies of those. And so your immune system sees these spike proteins, develops the antibodies, the immunity to that, and then you have immunity. That's how it works. So we get that for 10 days. It's not like a single injection. This goes on working. And then you get a very significant dose over a long period of time. And hence, I think it's the most effective way of doing vaccination.
So that goes into, is traveling via the mucosal system rather than an injection.
Yeah, indeed.
And
exactly that.
Would an injected vaccine be as effective in delivery?
The injections go into your systemic immune system. They go intramuscularly, and they will develop an immune response in your muscles. The question is whether or not they will also elicit an immune reaction in your gut. Now, they are two very different immune reactions. If you want to get very technical on this, the one you get in your arm is called an IgG, an interglobulin G, and the one you get in your gut is an IgA. It's very different. So the proteins are different. And there may be what they call some cross-protection between the immune system, your systemic immune system, and your mucosal immune system, but that's not as good as having it in your mucosal immune system. That's going to be almost certainly going to be considerably better.
Wayne, that's made me feel a lot better today talking to you. Can I just say thank you very much for speaking to us, and good luck with everything.
Pleasure.
Thank you. Cheers. Bye.
Bye.